Hey friends, I am so glad you're here. Welcome back to Real Estate Investing for Life, or welcome to Real Estate Investing for Life if it's your first time here. I'm just back from doing a little exploration, and exploring and travel is one of my absolute favorite things in life. I'm recording this just after getting home from traveling along the Gulf Coast of Florida and a little bit of Alabama. It was so fascinating, and one of my favorite things in the world is to experience new communities, and we're always looking at all the real estate that is available and all the differences and nuances about different markets. If you haven't explored that area, I would highly recommend it and give you some great tips and tricks. That's probably another video, but we stayed in 4 different locations, including right next to Alabama, and we explored Orange Beach a little bit and then wound up ultimately down in the Tampa St. Pete area. So much fun. And one of the favorite things that we like to do on these trips is we just get on our tennis shoes and we explore and we walk neighborhoods and we meet neighbors and we watch the sunset over the water every night, and we find the best coffee shop and the highly reviewed local haunt restaurant that everyone says that we need to go to, and we talk to the locals for where to find it, all those good things. But one thing that's so true, and I'm sure this is probably true for most of us, whenever we go explore a new place, something happens is that we get a change of perspective, which I absolutely love. Your perspective shifts and you start thinking new ways about things, and you think about possibilities and what if we had an investment home here, or what if we had a second home here, or better yet, what if we dropped everything and went off the face of the grid? Is that the right word? Went off the grid and went into one of these little communities and just fit in like a local. One of the places we stayed was this little town in Florida called Apalachicola. Maybe you've heard of it. It's right next to this little beach barrier island called St. George Island. This is the oyster capital of Florida. I thought it was so cool. Like the sidewalks are all made of oyster shells, and that's what they do. There's real fishermen and real oyster fishermen, I guess you call it, or oyster catchers. I'm not sure what the term is, but it was a very real community, not just a tourist community, and walk those neighborhoods. Oh, it's so fun. Being there and being in all those little communities reminded me of something that I see all the time who want to invest in real estate or they want to go and travel, but they don't. And the problem is that they just wait. And they wait for real estate. They wait until they know more. They wait until the market changes. They wait until the timing feels perfect, or the stars are all aligned and everything's all neat and tidy in the rest of their lives before they take action. But the truth is, the people who build wealth with real estate usually don't wait for the perfect conditions. All they do is they make a few thoughtful decisions and then they let time do the rest. It's certainly been the truth in our lives, but that's really what today's episode is about. It's about the cost of waiting to invest. But more importantly, the reason we invest in the first place is to have a life, and it's the cost of waiting to live. You know, the name of this podcast is Real Estate Investing for Life, and that's very intentional because this isn't real estate investing to hustle. This is the reason that I personally invest, and I think that most of you, when you get down to it, is because you want a great life, and you want to have a life and not be consumed with another second job by just purchasing real estate. So before I jump too much further into today's topic, I want to welcome you here if it's your first time here, and you may be hearing this and you already were a client of mine, an acquaintance of mine, a friend of mine. We've talked before, but we haven't really talked about real estate investing. And if that's you, I just want to say welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here. This is not for somebody who has already built a very highly successful real estate fix and flip company, for example. This is for someone that has a great career or business already and has a life, but wants to make a better life and wants to have options for themselves. Many of you know me as a real estate agent here in Idaho. I've done a lot of real estate. It's been a pleasure. I have made great friends from my clients and clients who have become friends, and it's been a total pleasure and honor serving in that capacity. And for a few of us, we're still working together in some capacity, and I love that. What I am here today is to talk about what it actually is involved in a little bit of a perspective and a transition for me personally is that I want to help you. I want to help others have the same opportunities to have options in their lives because we can't really afford to wait. So, this podcast has evolved into a place where we talk about more options, more freedoms, more intention, especially for people that are busy and don't have a bunch of time to waste and money to waste. We need to get straight down to it and figure out what's going to work for people. And that actually ties into this common theme that I've been talking about today, and that is what holds people back is just waiting. And people wait for a variety of reasons. Like we talked about, we need to have the perfect timing. The biggest thing that I see why people wait is they feel like they have to have everything figured out and to just really understand everything. And they need to keep learning and learning and learning. And the truth is, today we are in information overload. You could go on to YouTube or ChatGPT or your AI bot of choice and learn more than you ever want to know. But I think people are walking away more confused than ever because there is so much information out there, but you need something specific that's going to work for you in your life that's realistic. And so it's not that you need 25 properties or you need to do deals and deals and deals a year. You need a few really smart decisions early on because real estate is a long-term game. It's not a get-rich-quick game. And so what those that are very strategic with the real estate investing do is they let time do the heavy lifting. And interestingly, that same pattern shows up in another area of life too, which is travel. So real estate investing, real estate in general, and travel, those are two of my biggest things that light me up in life. So you'll see me going there a lot, but a lot of people tell themselves they're going to travel later. They're going to explore later, experience life later, and they do think that they're going to do the things they love later. And I'm so sick of that word later. As someone who is now an empty nester, I don't want to rub it in if we're all empty nesters, but we know this time goes by so quickly and later isn't guaranteed. So when they say later or someday when I retire, I have fallen into that trap too. And I don't want to be in that trap anymore. And I don't want that for you if it's a desire to combine a life that you live now and not just later. And it doesn't mean giving up your job today or your thriving business. You want to utilize that income that you have today and put it into something that is going to be long-term lasting and provide you that security and those options in life, because it's really all about options. Many of you have heard my personal story that we were living on a one-income household when we really got serious about real estate investing and just made a few strategic decisions that time took its place with. And that is something that is very, very simple, and people sometimes don't get their head around it because it is so simple. And today there are more opportunities, I believe, than we had available or knowledge of at that time. And there's a lot of ways to still make very smart, strategic real estate investing decisions that will make a big difference in the long term. The options aren't just options oh, I could quit my job tomorrow if I needed to, but it's options also in how we spend our time, where we want to go, how we design our lives. And now the key is that real estate quietly creates optionality in our lives. The real cost of waiting is bigger than just financial. It's about life enjoyment. And one thing that we've all been taught, certainly if we're over 30 years old, we've been taught the traditional method, so to speak, or system of getting your education, getting your job, finally making it to retirement, and then enjoying life. And travel mentally gets filed in the category of, I'll do that someday, or I'll do that when I retire. But you all know life rarely unfolds that neatly. And by the time you go do some of those things, you're not having them available to you because of physical limitations or mental limitations, all kinds of different reasons, of course. And of course, also money limitations. But people just have this assumption that retirement is going to bring unlimited time, unlimited health, and enough money. We know that's not true, but sometimes people stick their head in the sand about that. And so The good news is we have some options to create another destiny, another future. Life moves so quickly. And the biggest mistake I see in real estate isn't people making bad investments. We can help you do everything possible to avoid making those bad investments. It's just people waiting too long to make their first one. Because real estate works best with 4 things. We have time, appreciation, leverage, and the power of compounding. And when that combination happens and there's enough time, it really works in your favor. So starting earlier simply creates more options later. And that's what investing is about, buying yourself options. So if you've been thinking about investing in real estate, there's really 4 steps to it, and it's really simple. And I probably will get in trouble with a lot of gurus out there who make it a lot more complicated than it is. There's a lot to it, but if you are simply wanting to create options for your life and not a second job, there's a simple path forward, and I'm all about simplicity. I hope you can relate to that. I've been far too complex in the past, so let's keep it real simple. The first thing that you'll do is you'll start learning intentionally, not learning everything in the book about every single strategy of real estate investing. We're going to figure out what strategy is best for you, and then we're going to start learning intentionally about that. The second thing is to spend time with people who invest. There's something so powerful about being with others that have already done what you're going to do, and that's really a part of why I've created the Idaho Real Estate Investor Network over the last few years, because we know that when you get into a room with, even if you've never invested a property, even if you don't even have your own primary home yet, and you're surrounded by people that have done many, many deals or have created that generational wealth for themselves, you believe it can happen. And you see it, and you see it in your local community, and you rub shoulders with them, and you break bread with them, and you get inspired, but it's not a la la land inspired. Like, it can never happen. The truth is it can very much be you next. And so spending time around people who invest is really, really critical, in my opinion. And decide what type of investing fits your life. And that's what we're talking about, coming up with something that's personal for you, that works for you. It's so not one size fits all. And I think that's where things go wrong with a lot of national programs, coaching programs, and gurus. You're not having that two-way discussion to find out why you're investing, what your goals are, what returns you need to make, and what your timeline is. It's so important. If you just throw money out there, it's the same as like just trying to hope to get to a destination and not plugging it in on the maps to be able to get to your destination. You're just kind of guessing. And we've all done that in way too many ways, and you don't have to do that. And then the last thing is that you make your first thoughtful investment. And this is where a lot of people never take that last step. I know people in my world and clients or would-be clients that I've talked to many times over the years who have never actually made that first investment. But they sure know a lot, and they sure think about it a lot. And some way to make yourself miserable is to think about it all the time and know all the shoulds you should be doing but not taking action. So I want to come alongside you and help you figure out what your goals are and what that criteria is so that you can take action. Because we said time is on our side, right? So we need to do it earlier than later. And you don't need to be a full-time investor. I don't want you to have a second job. You just need to be making a few smart decisions. I think as we wrap up here, I just want to invite you into this community, whether it's listening to the podcast. If you're on the YouTube, please like and subscribe, and you can go back and watch some past shows. And if you're on a podcast platform, if you go ahead and hit subscribe or like, that would be huge. I'd appreciate it. But most importantly, it's going to get you in the habit of starting to learn intentionally. We have much more to come. I'm looking forward to sharing more in the coming weeks. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for all of your support over the years, whether you're a client, whether you're a friend, or just someone that found me online and is kind of interested in the idea of investing simply. Go and grow. Have an amazing week, and we'll catch you on the next episode.